Run your hand along your arm. Feel that? Almost nothing. A little fuzz you can barely see and skin bare enough to sunburn in a single afternoon. Now picture any other animal your size. A chimp, a wolf, a deer, a leopard. Every single one of them is buried under a thick coat of fur. It's the default setting for mammals. Warm, waterproof, built-in armor. Nearly all of the roughly 6,000 mammal species on Earth wear it. You don't. Somewhere back in your family line, something stripped the fur off your ancestors and left them standing naked on an open plain under a brutal African sun. That should have been a death sentence. Instead, it turned them into the most relentless endurance hunters this planet has ever produced. So why did humans lose their fur? The answer is stranger than a simple accident of evolution, and it's the reason your body works the way it does right now. Let's start with just how strange you actually are. Biologists have a quiet nickname for our species, the naked ape. Out of every primate on Earth, every monkey, every lemur, every gorilla, we are the only one you could honestly call bare. And here's the first twist. It's not that you have fewer hairs than a chimpanzee. Count them, follicle by follicle, and you have roughly the same number, around 5 million. The difference is that yours are thin, short, and almost invisible, wisps instead of a coat. So the real question isn't where the hair went. Your ancestors kept every follicle. Evolution just shrank the fur down to nothing, and it only does that when the fur is actively costing you something. So think about what fur is for. It traps a layer of warm air against the skin. It keeps a leopard warm at night, dry in the rain, and shielded from the sun. Losing it means losing all of that protection at once. No animal gives up an advantage that good unless being naked buys it something even better. For decades, nobody could agree on what that something was. There were guesses. Some said we lost our fur when our ancestors waded into water, a so-called aquatic ape, going bald like a dolphin. It's a lovely story. It's also almost certainly wrong. There's no fossil water ape, and the evidence just isn't there. Others said fur went to shake off fleas, ticks, and lice. A naked body is harder for parasites to hide in. That one's probably a piece of the puzzle. But the answer that actually holds the whole thing together is about heat. Specifically, it's about running. Here's the strange part. Go out onto the African savanna at midday, and you'll find almost every animal doing the same thing. Nothing. Lions sprawl in the shade. Antelope stand still. The heat is a killer, and speed makes it worse because a sprinting body generates enormous internal heat with nowhere to dump it. Most mammals cool themselves by panting, and panting can only shed so much. Push a gazelle too hard in the sun, and it will literally overheat and collapse long before its muscles give out. Its own body becomes the trap. Now here comes the animal that walks straight out into that midday furnace on purpose. Us. Your ancestors traded their fur for something no other large animal has in anything like the same numbers. Sweat glands, not a few. You are carrying somewhere between 2 and 4 million of them, spread across nearly your entire skin. When you heat up, they open, and water pours out onto bare skin and evaporates, and evaporation pulls heat straight off your body. It is one of the most powerful cooling systems in the entire animal kingdom. A human being can shed more than a liter of sweat an hour, and keep running while doing it. But that system only works if the water can reach open air. Pour all that sweat into a thick coat of fur, and you've just soaked yourself in a wet blanket. To cool by sweating, first you have to lose the fur. So picture the trade. A furred animal in the sun overheats and must stop. A naked, sweating human does not. And that difference, that single difference, turned into a hunting strategy so brutal it barely sounds real. It's called persistence hunting, and it works like this. You don't outrun your prey. You can't. Over a short sprint, a kudu or an antelope will leave you standing. Instead, you pick one animal and you jog after it in the worst heat of the day. It bolts, sprinting away, and disappears. You keep coming at your slow, steady, unstoppable pace. You find it again. It bolts again. But every sprint it makes in that heat loads more warmth into a body that can only pant to cool down. And you, dripping sweat, shedding heat with every step, simply do not stop. After hours and miles, the animal can't run anymore. Its body cooks itself from the inside. It stands there, trembling and helpless, and the naked ape walks up and takes it. No spear throw required. You ran it to death. This isn't a theory scribbled on a whiteboard. It has been watched and filmed in the real world. An anthropologist named Louis Liebenberg spent years in the Kalahari Desert running alongside sand hunters who still do this, chasing kudu across the sand in 50-degree heat until the animal simply drops. He clocked chases lasting 2 to 5 hours and covering close to 20 miles. Human beings on foot running an antelope into the ground using nothing but patience and sweat. And here's what makes it real. Your whole body is built for it. In 2004, two scientists, Dennis Bramble and Daniel Lieberman, published a paper in the journal Nature with a blunt title, Endurance Running and the Evolution of Our Genus. They found that we are stitched together, head to toe, for long-distance running. You have a springy Achilles tendon and arched feet that store and return energy like a bow. You have a special ligament at the back of your skull that keeps your head steady while you pound the ground. You have huge buttock muscles that mostly do nothing when you walk and switch on hard when you run. Big joints to absorb the shock. Short toes. Chimpanzees have none of this. It didn't appear so we could jog for fun. It appeared roughly 2 million years ago because the humans who could run prey to death in the heat ate, and the ones who couldn't, didn't. But there's a problem hiding in this story. If nakedness was so good, why did you keep hair anywhere at all? Because losing the fur created a brand new danger, and the leftover patches of hair are the fix. Start with the top of your head. On the open savanna, the sun comes almost straight down, and the one part of a standing, upright human that takes that vertical sun full on is the scalp, sitting directly above the one organ you absolutely cannot let overheat, your brain. So that is exactly where your thickest hair stayed. A dense mat of hair on the crown works like a parasol. It holds a cushion of cooler air against the scalp and takes the blow of the direct sun, while the rest of your bare skin keeps sweating underneath. You didn't keep the hair on your head by accident. You kept it where you needed shade the most. Then look at your eyebrows. They sit there doing something so small you've never noticed it, catching the sweat and rain that would otherwise pour straight into your eyes and blind you at the worst possible moment, mid-chase. Two little dams, angled to shed water off to the sides of your face, and the thicker hair tucked into your armpits and groin. Those are the places skin rubs on skin all day long, and a little hair there cuts the friction and helps spread the scent your body uses to signal to other humans who you are, whether you're ready to mate. Every patch you kept is doing a job. The naked places cool you, the hairy places protect you. But we're not done, because getting naked set off a chain reaction that ends somewhere you would never guess, and we can prove almost exactly when it happened. Strip the fur off an animal, and you've exposed its skin to the sun's ultraviolet radiation, which shreds the DNA in living cells and destroys the body's folate. So the moment our ancestors went bare, they were under pressure to grow their own sunscreen. That's where dark skin comes from. The anthropologist Nina Jablonski argues that richly pigmented skin evolved precisely because we lost our fur. The melanin is the shield that replaced the coat. And by dating the genes that control skin color, one study by geneticist Alan Rogers estimated that our ancestors already had dark, pigmented skin well over 1 million years ago, which means the fur was already gone by then. We have been naked for a very, very long time. Now for the strangest twist of all. If we've been naked for over 1 million years, when on Earth did we start wearing clothes? Skins and hides rot. They don't survive as fossils. For a long time, it seemed unanswerable. And then scientists found the answer in the last place you'd look, living on human bodies. Lice. You are host to two kinds, head lice, which live in the hair on your scalp, and body lice, which are different. They don't actually live on your body at all. They live and lay their eggs in the seams of your clothing, crawling onto skin only to feed, which means body lice cannot exist without clothes. No clothing, no habitat, no body louse. So a geneticist named Mark Stoneking had an idea. Find the moment body lice split off from head lice, and you've found the moment humans invented clothing. His team read the lice DNA, ran the molecular clock, and it landed somewhere around 100,000 years ago, possibly as far back as 170,000. A parasite in your clothes, quietly keeping the date your species first got dressed. So put the whole sequence together. First, we lost the fur to run and to sweat under the African sun. Then we grew dark skin to survive the exposure. And then, much, much later, when our ancestors walked out of Africa into colder lands, the very nakedness that made them great hunters left them freezing. So they wrapped themselves back up in the fur of other animals, and a tiny insect crawled into the seams and stayed there, riding along, telling the story ever since. Look at yourself again. That bare, sweating, sunburn-prone skin isn't a flaw in the design. It's the design. You are wearing the body of a hunter that was built to walk down anything that runs, a creature that beat the fastest animals on the plain, not with speed or claws or fur, but with patience, water, and skin. Every time you break a sweat in a hot room or feel it run down your back on a summer afternoon, you're firing a 2 million-year-old cooling system that once ran antelope into the ground. You just point it at a treadmill now. We think of ourselves as the weak, soft animal, the one with no claws, no coat, no armor, shivering the second it gets cold. But that softness is a disguise. Underneath it is the most stubborn endurance predator the world has ever made, one that gave up its fur on purpose because it found something deadlier to become. So the next time you feel almost hairless and exposed and a little bit fragile, remember what that skin actually is. Not the thing that made you vulnerable, the thing that let your ancestors chase the whole world down. What else have we mistaken for a weakness when all along it was the reason we're still here?